Greetings, sippers, shooters, lovers of liquor. We are making a slight left turn from our normal life of whiskey appreciating. We have a guide today.
Hello, friends.
Bringing us into the land of rum. Nathan Kessler, introduce yourself.
Nathan Kessler Jeffrey. And I am a rum devotee. I would say by no means an expert, but I do enjoy the fruit of the sugar.
Yeah.
And so I brought some things to share today, and I thought we'd start with this Trouvadore, which is out of Turks and Caicos, and 15 years old. It is most of the rums that we'll be tasting today are blended, because most rums are. And this one is actually fairly new to me. I mean, new in that, like, just this bottle, but I have finished most of the bottle. So
you must like it.
I do. It is quite enjoyable.
And either one of you want to give us a quick... So what I know of rum is it's a sugar cane or any of its byproducts, distillate, molasses, syrup. There's not a bunch of rum agricoles, the only one with kind of standards in that it has to be fresh cane juice and whatever. And everything else is kind of in the wind, right?
Well, that's the great thing about rum is it's kind of like the Wild West, right? Like bourbon is one of the most highly regulated spirits in the world, and rum is the exact opposite. Rum can do anything. Okay. Most of what we're tasting today is old, well-aged rum, usually aged in bourbon barrels. There's one that we're doing today that I think is aged in non-charred barrels. I can't remember which one, but
I believe that's the part of the Don Pancho. They split it. It's part of it was aged used and part was fresh American oak.
Yeah.
If I did a little bit of research, rum was my sipping brown liquor gateway drug. So I moved, college, good old days, rum and cokes. Moved into nicer rums that I could sip on its own, and now I'm getting into whiskey. So I'm a little excited to get back into this.
All right.
Yeah.
Shall we?
And as far as sipping rums go, it's kind of becoming, well, it's been growing for a while, but it's much less a mixer or a cocktail.
Yeah.
Now that you can get these beautiful aged, high quality rums.
Well, and like a fraction of the price of a Scotch of the same age, right?
Yeah.
And they're doing the same thing like Scotches do, where they're pulling in used bourbon barrels from America, using them up, letting the rum sit in those, blending. Also, rum has really been doing for years what Scotch folks are just starting to do, which is called the Solera method. It's also been popular in wine use and things like that, but basically where you've got a huge vat of your product, rum, and then say you get everything in, it's all aging, you start using up to a third, half of it, but then you refill it with new stuff. So it kind of the flavors blend, you're kind of always maintaining an old product into it, and then keeping the flavor consistent.
And depending on where you get the rum, the age statement on the barrel can either be the newest rum in the barrel or the oldest rum in the barrel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
whereas Scotch, it's usually the youngest.
Trouvadore. So this, you said, was Turks and Caicos, because rum was part of the whole trade triangle, and all that kind of slave. You said this was named after a slave ship.
Yeah, there was a slave ship that crashed, grounded itself, and the people who escaped from the ship kind of started the whole colony that became the Turks and Caicos. So there's kind of a tribute to the founders of the area.
Cool. That's really nice. 15 year.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely get the oaky.
Yeah, there's definitely a
lot of wood
smell on this one.
It's not as sweet or syrupy as I would expect.
Exactly.
It's much more like a whiskey than I anticipated.
Well, a lot of the older ones will be. They definitely tend to smooth out and mature as they sit in those barrels. I really love like the dark, rich molasses tones that I get when I'm sipping older rums.
Yeah.
This is no exception. This one is a little bit lighter. both in terms of the color and the flavoring that I normally prefer. So I enjoy this one quite a bit, but this is not my favorite and not my go-to.
And I know there's a push recently to try to classify rums. Like if it came from a molasses, it's spelled R-U-M. If it came from clear sugarcane or just sugar, it's R-H-U-M. Trying to set a little bit of apart, but like you say, they're kind of fast and loose with the rules.
It's the Wild West.
Thing, so
yeah. Absolutely.
And then like cachaça is also another sugar that's Brazilian. Clearly pure.
Yeah, do you get down with the cachaça life?
You know, here's the thing. I haven't really had enough I haven't had enough cachaça to really make a decision on that.
Yeah.
I also haven't had enough aged cachaça. Which, like, most of the stuff that I have is like white, and I'm like, this is fine. Yeah. This is tasty.
Yeah.
So I thought next, do we just go like straight one into another?
Yeah.
Sure. Great. Fantastic. So this is my absolute favorite rum of all time. This is El Dorado 15-year Special Reserve. El Dorado in Guyana is from Guyana. It is in Guyana the law is that it's the youngest rum. It goes on the label. So there are rums that are up to 25 years old in this blend.
The El Dorado 12 was one of my all-time, always kept it on hands, sipping rums. And every now and then I treated myself to like one of their white port releases, but
what is that?
That's where they aged in white port barrels. They also have a red port, ruby port aged one, but I never tried that.
They do have a single barrel now that I've had one bottle of. It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But it really, like, the thing that I love about this rum is it just washes over the palate.
Yeah.
Every single note is unique and delicious.
This is a much more pronounced nose.
Yeah.
Less of that.
A lot more of that brown sugar.
Right.
Yeah.
Not as much vanilla in this one.
Looks
little bit
considerably darker.
It's fruity.
Is that added caramel, or is that a product of the aging, or what?
They actually will add caramel into these to get the color sometimes. Usually they manage to do it from blending, but it's not uncommon for caramel coloring or actual sugared caramel to be added.
Wow, that's delicious.
Isn't that phenomenal?
Yeah.
This is blended from rums distilled on 4 different stills. 2 of them are the oldest operating wooden stills in the world, I believe is what their website said.
Yeah.
So it's essentially, I mean, we were looking at the photo. It's like a giant barrel with a distillation.
Yeah, with a metal bottom and a metal top, and everything else is wood. So.
Yeah, it's really.
This
nice.
is just pure fruitcake, like thick baking spice. It's delicious.
Wow, what a treat!
I kind of want to go get another bottle to have on hand again.
This actually is the bottle that I keep on hand in my house, and if I actually always have a spare, so I always have one in the box because you should never run out of the rum you need the most.
Yeah, yeah. Why is the rum gone?
Yeah,
it's not.
It's not.
Yeah, that one's nice. Kind of like that plummy, kind of almost like a Madeira funk at the very end. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like a sort of fig kind of note in the front, right after the initial attack. It's really beautiful. A little raisin.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out if they aged these in any particular barrels. I mean, usually, like I said, they're old bourbon, but they may have seen time in a sherry or Madeira. Although a lot of the sugars can just come from the molasses product as well.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
I've been drinking a lot of molasses in my coffee these days, and it's familiar. That's nice.
Slight little metallic tinge that comes with it. Oh, it's been years since I've had that. It's delicious.
Yeah, that's really, really nice.
Yeah, I started buying so much whiskey, I forgot my roots.
Get back to it. How'd you get into rum?
God, how did I get into rum? It started very early for me. I mean, I actually didn't start drinking until I was like 26. And then as soon as I started actually drinking things straight, rum was almost immediately my go-to. It started with like You ever had Pirate?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I started with that.
That was one. 10 cane, you know, and then I just started going like I found myself gravitating towards the things that were aged a little bit longer, and then I discovered like all of those like distinctions between like the Jamaican rums and the Cuban rums and the Panamanian rums and the rums from Guyana. It's just been really fun.
I'm trying hard to remember the name. The one I always used to pick up was that Zapatas out of Guatemala. Zayat. I'm never looking it up. That's what the internet's for.
I started with Captain Morgan's whatever private stock or special whatever.
Oh yeah. Captain Morgan private stock. It's just like
stock,
drinking vanilla.
Yeah,
like straight vanilla.
Bring a bottle of that to a party in college and drink the whole thing.
Great with Coke. Okay, so next we've got Don Pancho 18 year. Just got a bottle of this down in Seattle. This one is interesting because Don Pancho, the guy who started the company, was actually from Cuba. So he's doing Panamanian style rum with sugarcane juice. So it comes out a little bit differently than the next one that we're going to taste, which is also a Panamanian rum. This one I find to be a little lighter. But this is 18 years old and a lot of fun.
Beautiful. Don Pancho.
Oh yeah. That's like real dry, sugar smell. Not the molasses. Like you're smelling a bag of like raw sugar.
Much drier on the finish.
Oh yeah, it almost has like a wine tanniny sort of finish to that.
Yeah, it stops pretty abruptly and then kind of hangs out.
I'm sorry, El Dorado. I may have found something I like better.
To each their own.
Yeah, no, this is nice.
Yeah.
That's really good.
This is the best part of the video, is the part where we all just sort of silently appreciate the rum without talking about it at all.
Yeah, nothing to be said. Just pick up a bottle.
There's definitely some oakiness to it coming from the wood. I mean, 18 years in ex-bourbon. This is the one we think also was split between ex-bourbon and fresh American oak barrel.
Uncharred. Which boggled my mind, because I don't really understand why you would age something in an uncharred barrel other than just get straight oakiness.
Well, that could be where all this like tannins coming from as well.
Also, this one hits me a little higher and on the sides. I don't have the descriptor for it, but I get it right in there.
Yeah,
a little bit more.
This one definitely gives me that out breath of sherry or Madeira or something.
Yeah, it's got a little tartness to it. I think that's maybe getting on the corners.
But not in a citrusy way, right? Not getting like any orange or any lemon or lime.
No, this is wine equivalent to rum. Almost, I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll have to find some of that. Wonder who distributes. We'll figure it out. Wow.
All right.
Oof, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the El Dorado. It's got a lot of different flavors and some sweetness to it, but that Pancho is like that's a classy sipping rum right there.
Yeah. I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Rumba in Seattle, which if I started my rum education early, they were the ones who completed it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, they have, I think it's like over 300 rums in there.
Is this that place down near Queen Anne?
It's on Capitol Hill.
Oh,
right
never
there.
mind
It's real close to the convention center. And it is easily my favorite place to drink in Seattle. Jen Aiken, if you're watching, I love you. You're amazing. Okay.
I'll come meet you.
Yeah. Nate stops in.
Field trip.
So this is actually a bottle. I had Zafra for the first time a couple years ago on my birthday. I was at Rumba, and it was my birthday, so I splurged a little bit, and I got their 30 year, which might be the best rum I've ever had in my life.
not a cheap pour.
It was insane. It was. I think like the half ounce or the ounce was like $50 or $60. It was really expensive.
Yeah.
But this is their 21 year. I don't think you can get it in the state of Washington unless you go through like a distributor or something. I got this bottle in Kansas City.
Yeah. For just comparison, considering how much reasonably priced rums are compared to bourbons and scotches, like a 23-year-old Pappy's is going to cost you $100 to $200 just for a pour in a bar.
Yep.
And that's just stupid.
So,
Buffalo Trace, stop it.
Cut it out.
Stop it.
Cut it out.
Oh my gosh, I love this one. Easily the most complex nose of anything that we've tasted.
I mean, it's always got the molassesy sugar, of course, and a little bit of the wood, but this has got it's got a teeny little bit of a fire to it.
Wow.
What's the alcohol percentage on this?
I think it's 80 proof. Yeah.
40. Okay. Nice.
Yep. So, and these two, you were saying you looked it up, and these two are made by the same distiller. Is that right?
The same master distiller, the Don Pancho, the gentleman there, but then coming from a different distillery, I believe, in Panama.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a fiery spiciness to the nose on this one.
But I also get like chocolate or coffee or something on that nose that is just incredible. Oh, I love that.
That's really nice.
I'm definitely getting that coffee chocolate a little bit on the flavor, especially the chocolate. And then there's like a dark cherry sort of, dark cherry chocolate sort of thing going on. It coats the tongue, but it's dry still at the same time. Like, it doesn't feel like it's overly sugared.
It doesn't have any of those caramel notes that you get with like the
Dorado,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gosh, I like each one better than the last.
Well, that's why I did them in this order.
A smart man. I'll drink to that.
Leave me wanting more.
Zafra.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to have someone mail me one.
Yep. There you go. There you go. You know,
So
if you
this is only available.
I have not found this in Washington State yet.
Okay.
They have it at Rumba, obviously, but they get rums from all over the world.
Right.
So
Yeah. I'll have to look through my distributor chain and
Grease the palms of your local distributor.
figure it out.
and even like frankly, given how good it is, when I go to Kansas City and I can pick it up at the super liquor store there, not that expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like it's between 50 and 70. Like,
Which is
it's not bad.
Which is
That's really
ridiculous because at a 21-year-old age, Scotch or bourbon would easily be 4 to 5 times the cost starting.
Yeah. So
The world of rums.
Yeah.
Let's get there.
So if you guys need a cheaper, more gateway method into the brown liquors, rum's a good start to do.
And what I'm kind of finding, and I don't have a ton of experience with these finer sipping rums, but my cocktail of choice is an old fashioned, and this is very similar to just an old fashioned without having to do anything to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Frankly, you mentioned El Dorado 12 year before. That is my old fashioned of choice.
Really? Okay.
Old fashioned with an El Dorado 12 year is absolutely out of this world.
Wow.
I can dig it.
I saw King, shout out our local grocery store, but actually has a really good liquor selection. King's has the Baku 12. I thought about picking that up, but instead what I did was go with the Plantation Pineapple, mostly because it's in the bartending world, it's kind of exploding. It was made by two guys, David Wondrich and Alexandre Gabriel. They combined their forces and made Pierre Ferrand 1840 cognac.
Nice.
Excellent for cocktailing.
I believe it.
And the dry curacao also, and they both award-winning spirits, Tales of the Cocktail, all that. So they joined forces and made this, which is, as I understand it, they take the pineapples and they carve the rind off, chop up the fruit. They take the rinds, they soak the rinds in their 3-star rum, and then they distill those rinds, and then they take the fruit and they soak it in the original dark rum and let it sit, and then they marry those two liquids together and age it for 3 months in casks. And then you get this, which I think is pretty awesome. It's got, as far as sipping goes, I could sip this.
Easily the best pineapple rum out there.
Yeah,
and
it's like a real pineapple rum.
Yeah, gotta give them real credit for creating a flavored rum that they didn't just use some sort of chemical to flavor it. They actually went through the process to do this.
They put a lot of thought into this. I mean, the name, it's Stiggin's Fancy 1824 recipe. I know that David Wondrich used, he's kind of a cocktail historian, so he used like old 1800s journals of patents and all this stuff to find recipes and piece them together. And it's based on the Charles Dickens character Reverend Stiggins from the Pickwick Papers.
Oh, nice.
And his favorite drink was a pineapple rum. Mm-hmm. He took it with a bit of boiling water and a sugar cube. But anyway, a lot of thought went into this. Yeah.
Cut your rum with water.
Yep.
Right. And it shows. It's tasty. It's kind of a nice dessert after all these delicious ones. We'll have just a little fun one. And this is probably $65, $70 a bottle.
And if you haven't had any of the other plantation rums, they are phenomenal.
And that is with the island tax, by the way. So.
That is with the island tax. But yeah, really bright pineapple nose. You get the pineapple flavor in there, but it's not cloying. It's not, doesn't blow you out. It's
not sweet.
Yeah. It's not sweet.
It is all the flavor of pineapple without any of the sort of cloying sweetness of like a pineapple flavored rum.
Yeah, the cooked pineapple comes out on the nose.
So good.
Yeah. I think that comes from distilling the rinds, which is where all the essential oils are. So you don't get
that. And it smells fresh. It doesn't smell like a chemical.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. Little bit of smoke, little bit of spice, a lot of pineapple.
You get the sweetness of the dark rum, but that is all the sweetness you're really gonna get.
Mm-hmm. And it's definitely like a stewed pineapple flavor on the end. Not. Oh yeah, there's the tartness that comes at the end there.
A little grilled, like you toss the pineapple on a barbecue and took a shot of whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice.
It's not that bad at all.
Shout out my buddy Scott Hansford, introduced me to this a couple years ago. Go pick one up. Go pick all of these up.
Please pick them up.
No big deal. Yeah. Just go grab them all.
Support your local rum industry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's get this going. Well, that's nice. Anyone want to spout off some words about rum's history? As far as I know, it's pretty tied in with England and America and Prohibition and all
America
this.
was started on rum, and of course the English Navy ran on rum. But I mean,
you used to get like a pint of it a day to be in the Navy.
Yeah.
Oh,
the average.
I would sign up.
A pint.
Yeah. I would sign up.
Before like the whole American Revolution, like the average American drank 3 gallons of rum a year or something. Now it's like children too.
And so what happened when there was something about cutting off?
Yeah, well, we kind of pissed off the folks over in England at one point, and
a couple times.
Yeah,
a couple times,
just a few times.
Shout out the Revolutionary War.
But they, as they owned most of the Caribbean at that time, they kind of heavily taxed and/or cut off our ability to get sugarcane.
And as we expanded into the territories,
that's
it was grain, right?
Right. That's
so
what we
worked
could
with
grow.
what we got. So hence whiskey was born. So thank you, Britain, for letting us develop whiskey.
Right. And then the rebirth of rum in the United States was during Prohibition. So all the whiskey distilleries were closed down. Well, not all of them, but the majority of them. The majority of them were closed down. So the rum runners would come and they would import rum into the United States.
We're called that for a reason.
Exactly. But then, to me, the most incredible story about this time period is the birth of the tiki drink.
Yeah.
Which was following Prohibition, the whiskey distilleries got running again, but it took them years to age the booze. Mm-hmm. So they were running really low on whiskeys, and so when a bar they passed this law that essentially if you ordered a case of whiskey, you had to get 6 cases of rum. essentially, so that they could meet out the supply of rum or the supply of whiskey over time. So these bar owners were tasked with this problem of, we have all this rum, what do we do with it? That's where we get rum punch. It used to be that you could go into a bar and get a tin cup and just refill off of the rum punch all night. It was like a bottomless rum punch drink. Wow. It's also where all the tiki drinks came from. They had to find a way to get rid of all this booze.
So blend it with a bunch
of cool
stuff.
The Zombie, which has a ridiculous amount of alcohol in it, was actually the first drink in the United States to ever have a drink limit put on it. You could only get 2 of them in a night. And that is the sort of rebirth of rum in the United States, was following Prohibition.
And then and tiki exploded.
Yeah.
And actually is having a revival right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there are some phenomenal tiki bars out there. There's some phenomenal... I'm not a person who likes tiki drinks because I really enjoy sipping rums, right? But you get a bartender who can mix a tiki drink that beautifully blends the sort of sweet tropical flavors with enough dryness that you don't want to like guzzle your beverage, right? That is right up my alley.
Come into the Friday Harbor House, try our rum cocktail. Features Smith & Cross Jamaican Plantation Rum, Pineapple, Townshend's Pacific Northwest Fernet, Lime, and Falernum.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Smith & Cross rum, one of the most interesting rums in the world.
That should be mentioned. Yeah, that was one of my... that is a favorite of mine right now. Super, super unique, very plummy, tropical
funky,
fruit, kind of tequila-esque, real funky.
High proof.
High proof.
It'll knock you on your butt.
High proof. That burns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, man.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you for having me. This was a great time.
Yeah.
You know?
We'll do some more.
I hope so.
And if I can find a distributor line on that Zafra, I'll let you know.
You gotta get it, man.
Yeah.
You gotta get it. If you started stocking some El Dorado 12 year, I would be in here every night. That's not true. Don't hold me to that.
I'm going to.
Okay.
And I will. Cheers, Liquor on the Rock. Follow us, subscribe, like, tell your friends.